Well, good evening. I'm meteorologist Alan Matthew, and I'm here to have a little bit of a discussion with you about the evolving severe weather threat as we head into the middle of this week. Now, I know this is a very busy time of year for many of us. A lot of folks are out shopping, gathering gifts. Many of you are traveling to and from the region to be together with your family and friends. And a lot of people just do not have time nor desire to be dealing with the potential for severe weather. I understand that. But make no mistake, I only forecast the weather. I don't tell the weather what to do. I don't control it. And the weather does not really care what our plans are. So with that said, we do have a threat. And let's start off here by looking at the surface analysis from recently. We have a lot of things going on. You have this cold front draped into the central portion of the United States. You also have an area of high pressure out here in the Atlantic region that's helping pump the moisture up in from the Gulf. And then you can see all of the rainfall that we've been dealing with here as we've gone throughout the course of today. There's been times where it's been moderate to heavy rainfall, and we're still dealing with a little bit of that here across Mississippi. Here's a better look for you. Composite radar. Most of the heavy rainfall there in Alabama, really in south central Alabama, but some trailing showers and activity back into the central portion of our state. In general, though, severe weather risk is pretty negligible for us for the rest of the night. The severe weather risk will remain south along the Gulf Coast of Alabama throughout tonight. Our chances of severe weather will really go up as we head into Wednesday afternoon. So let's look at the upper level patterns. This doesn't mean much to most of you, but here we go. This is today, and then we go into tomorrow, and then finally we look at Wednesday morning. We can see this long wave pattern that starts to move out to the northeast. It begins to tilt a little bit in the negative direction, and that is just something we look for as meteorologists that would suggest good upper level dynamic support for severe weather. So it's one of the pieces of the puzzle. Here's what's going on at the surface. This is all of the rainfall that we've been experiencing here today and into tonight. Things quiet down a little bit as we head into tomorrow. There will still be some rain around at times, but generally, especially as we get later into the day, it should be a little quieter for us than it was today. And then finally here we're looking at Wednesday, and you can see there's the beginnings of that dynamic system that's going to bring us those severe weather threat during the afternoon into the evening hours. Now, here's something I kind of use as a baseline. This is the SIPS analog guidance, and this is just showing the probability of seeing at least one severe storm. One storm that meets severe criteria, and the percentages or probabilities are high for the Arklamis region out here, including portions of the Delta, northeastern Louisiana, southeastern Arkansas. Percentages are up around 60 to 70% of chance of seeing severe. So that's probably one of the highest risk areas going to be right there. It may not be exact. This is just guidance. This is not the gospel truth. And again, this looks very concerning. Thankfully, this is not anything like what we expect to happen. If this were to happen, this would be much like April 2011, the big outbreak we saw then. But this is just a compilation of all the analogs that have been used. There's 15 of them. The main thing I want to point out to you here is that all modes of severe weather will be possible. There will be a tornado threat. There will be threat from damaging winds. There will even be a little bit of a hail threat, lightning threat as well as we go into Wednesday. All right, here's a look at some of the different parameters now that we analyze as meteorologists. First one here is something we use to see if there will be supercell thunderstorms. Supercell thunderstorms excel at producing tornadoes. And here across Mississippi and Alabama, the values are in the moderate range. So we will probably see some supercells in and around our neck of the woods, including here in the GTR region heading into Wednesday. This is Wednesday at 3 p.m. Here's a significant tornado parameter. This is an indication of, how likely tornadoes are, and specifically we want to see, if those tornadoes that are going to be a little stronger are more likely. And much of Mississippi and even Alabama are in the moderate to even high-end moderate risk or category. And you see even some little higher values are streaking across this portion of the state. For me, that looks particularly concerning. GTR, we look to be in on that, so we're going to have to monitor that very closely. Again, 3 p.m. Wednesday, this is 0 to 1 kilometer energy helicity. This is just showing us, me in particular, the combination of shear and instability. This is the thermodynamic meets dynamic setup. And again, a lot of moderate to high-end moderate values across much of Mississippi and Alabama. And again, some even higher values localized right in there. So we are going to have to watch this very closely here in the Golden Triangle region. I'm kind of concerned about that. Anytime you see dew points that look like this, these are all in the lower 70s across the lower third of Alabama and Mississippi. That is cause for concern, and usually, if that continues, bad things will happen. 70 degrees, 71 degrees up here in the Golden Triangle, that is more than enough moisture to fuel severe weather convective processes. Now we're looking at the SREF. This is the 21Z SREF, looking at the probability of CAPE in excess of 500 joules per kilogram. Almost certain we're going to see that across much of Mississippi and even a good chunk of Alabama. Now we're going to look at the 15Z, the 9Z, and then there's the 3Z. So the past 24 hours, not a whole lot has changed, but we're definitely going to see 500 joules. If anything, there's been a slight increase in the confidence in terms of instability. Now we're looking at probability of CAPE in excess of 1,000 joules per kilogram. And this is at 21Z. This is at 15Z. This is at 9Z. And this is at 3Z. So again, not a whole lot of change, but you can kind of see that maybe the highest instability is going to set up out there to the west of I-55 and south of the Highway 82 corridor. So that's a little bit of good news, but the severe weather is really going to maximize where you have the best combination of instability and shear, and that's actually going to be somewhere right here in the north central portion of Mississippi, which is bad news, unfortunately, for us here in the Golden Triangle region. So here's the bottom line. As we head into this event, know this. All modes of severe weather are likely, and I do not take the usage of that term likely very lightly. Other times I would say it's possible, it may happen, but this is likely. At this point, confidence is fairly high that we're going to see significant severe weather. And what do I mean by that? Well, we are going to see the potential for several tornadic storms, a few of which could be a little bit on the strong end. We could see an EF2, EF3, who knows, maybe even an EF4. I certainly hope not. That would be tragic. And even if we only see 3 or 4 tornadoes, if a tornado should actually hit your neck of the woods, your neighborhood, it's going to be a big deal to you. So make sure that you keep up with the weather. Damaging winds, also going to be a leading concern. If this takes the form of a QLCS line or squall line, we could certainly see some pretty stout winds as it moves through. Then, in addition to that, there's the heavy rainfall threat. It rained much of today. It's going to rain a little bit tomorrow. And there's more rain we're going to be looking at as we head into Wednesday. So localized flash flooding will absolutely be a threat, particularly as we get into those overnight hours Wednesday. So do be mindful of that. Hail will be a little bit of a concern, although not as much as the other things listed above it. And lightning is, of course, a concern as well if you're out and about. Christmas shopping, lightning does not discriminate. It will strike anybody. So be mindful of that as well. Bottom line is that you should be well informed and be weather alert. If you have family and you have friends that are traveling to or from this area to be with you, make sure that they are aware of the weather situation. If they're driving particularly, make sure they know that they're going to be driving in some potentially very nasty, severe weather. They should be prepared for that. Maybe they're just staying with you. Make sure that everybody is on the same page and knows your severe weather plan of action. If you don't have a severe weather plan of action, now is a great time to develop one and be ready for this. Know where you're going to go. Know how you're going to stay in contact with everybody if the weather should take a turn for the worse in your neck of the woods. Have multiple sources of information. I can't stress this enough. Oftentimes in these events, we'll see power outages. We'll see trees go down, or you'll see television cable cut out. You need to have multiple ways to get the weather information. This is one instance where I'm going to tell you not to rely primarily on your weather radio. We are having technical difficulties with one of the radio antennas that services this area of Mississippi, and unfortunately that may not be restored and back online by the time Wednesday gets here. We'll keep an eye on that for updates, but right now it is not back online, and because of that you may miss a critical warning during Wednesday's severe weather. So have other sources. Be on Twitter. Facebook is a great place. Many of your local news stations will go into wall-to-wall severe weather coverage on television, and they will also do it on the internet, live streaming. So if you have internet, make sure your devices are fully charged before we go into this event, so you have all the juice possible to keep you informed. Of course, I'll be posting updates myself. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and I'll even be doing a little bit possibly on Periscope as we go throughout the day. But just make sure you stay plugged in to the weather. We still have some time to go, and things could still change as we move forward into this next 24-hour period. It's a very critical time in the forecast. But at this point, you need to be getting in the right mindset, just like I am. You need to be ready to deal with this if you have to. I hope all of you stay safe. Have a Merry Christmas. God bless.